Now, to help us put what we've learned about planning personal growth and development into perspective, I'm delighted to be joined by Christian and Helen from the People and Organisational Development team at the University of Huddersfield. So, Christian, Helen, very warm welcome to the studio. Now, for anyone that maybe doesn't know you already, can you introduce yourselves briefly and tell us a little bit about your work with the pod team?
So I'm Helen Connor, and obviously I work in People and Organisational Development. So my role involves training, so creating and delivering courses on a whole range of topics. But I'd say leadership is a specialism, but also well-being as well. We also coach people, so people that might have challenges that they want to work through. So we do a lot of coaching. And then also our favourites are development days, or stay days as we call them, because we don't tend to go anywhere these days. So that's my role. What about you, Christian?
Funnily enough, I've got a similar role. I'm Christian from People and Organisational Development, and I'm also the coaching and mentoring lead for the university. So I do a coaching qualification. I also sort of match mentees with mentors, as well as doing the open program with Helen. So we do Women Advancing Together, as well as lots of other courses such as well-being and leadership.
Brilliant. Well, it's great to have you both here with us. Planning personal growth and development, it's a big attribute. It's probably quite centrally connected to all of the other attributes that we talk about in relation to this series. So really important one to have you here for. And now I know obviously with your kind of work, you work with a number of staff across the organisation in terms of your roles with people and organisational development, as you've just mentioned. Why, I suppose, do you sort of feel it's so important for staff to be intentional when it comes to this idea of development from a professional perspective? So, Helen, I'm going to come to you first.
I think, I know we talked about professional development, but actually I would really like to take it back to personal as well. And I think it's around being happy in life and being fulfilled in life. So I think that's one of the key things, is to think about what makes you happy. That's going to bring you that fulfillment, and you can get to think about what's your purpose in life. So they seem really big chunks of things to consider, but actually when you really reflect on yourself and think about, okay, so what are the key things that make me happy? What are the happy moments that I've had so far in my volunteering or my career? And then take it from there. So I think that's the basis for me, really, is why it's important, is around happiness, well-being, being fulfilled.
And I think it's an important point about the idea that people can see the idea of planning personal growth and development as quite a big, chunky thing to work through, but actually it might not necessarily.
Doesn't have to be, does it? I think as well, I was reflecting back on my career, and I was thinking, oh, when did I do any kind of intentional thinking about what's going to happen next? And I always knew like the big areas that I wanted to work in. Like, I'm very people focused. I wanted to work with people. I wanted to work in a flexible environment, and I wanted to be somewhere where I could hopefully make a difference. So I could see those big things, but probably didn't really think about being so considerate about my next choices until I got made redundant. And I was thinking, actually, that's what made me really think, okay, what really makes me happy? What brings me joy at work? What brings me that fulfillment? And I was thinking about you doing this, thinking, oh, actually, that's really great that people are considering it earlier on than perhaps I did.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, sometimes it does take that big shift or big life event to make us think about that.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to. That, I suppose that's the thing I'd say, is that you can break things down into small chunks.
And that's the intentionality, I guess, isn't it? Yeah. Has your experience sort of been similar, Christian, I guess, in terms of when it comes to intentionally planning personal growth and development? Do you think we do enough of it? And I guess what maybe stops people from doing that?
I don't think we do enough of it. I've a similar sort of career path to Helen, really. I sort of stumbled upon what I was doing by sort of relocating as well as being made redundant. But I think following, one of the big things for me is like following the passion. And sometimes you may not know what your passion is until you've tried lots of different things. So I think that intentional part of being in the moment, looking at what your strengths are and thinking, oh, I really enjoyed doing this little bit. I didn't like doing that bit. And then so try and fill your sort of career and your role with the things that you're really passionate about and enjoying, and then see where that can lead then. And I think that's what I did. I'd never thought I'd become a trainer. And then just I was filling a gap for something. And I had an opportunity to do a training qualification, so I jumped at it. And then I just sort of followed the sort of things I enjoyed training in. And then it just having that intention to, okay, plan my way forward. Now, I found what I like doing. Let's just make it bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, there are quite a lot of jobs where people maybe never imagine when they're younger that they would be in those. Maybe you've never even come across those career pathways. But actually, it's that idea, as you said, of taking opportunities and maybe leaning into the stuff that does give you energy and that you do enjoy. And this, I suppose, links quite nicely to the next question we wanted to cover, which is this idea of what maybe that idea of planning personal growth and development looks like for different people. So I suppose in the work that you've kind of done with staff across the universities, can you perhaps share some examples with us of what planning personal growth and development can look like maybe in different contexts? Is it the same for everyone, or does it sometimes look a little bit different?
I think it's very different, I would say. So when I do career coaching, so I do a lot of one-to-one coaching, and I think I was reflecting on this and thinking, there's three major things really that people want to explore when they come for coaching. And one, they know exactly where they want to be. They've got that end goal, and they work backwards from that end goal, thinking, well, in order to get where I want to be, I'll need to do this qualification, I'll need mentoring in this, maybe some coaching in that, some work shadowing. And they're very focused on their goal, where they want to be. Some people are doing the other way around. They just start sort of getting different qualifications, following their passion, getting their qualifications, and building upon their strengths. And then they think, okay, where can this take me? What do I want to do with all these things that I've got? And then we explore that with them. And then the final one is people just love learning. And so they have a broad range of skills. They're like, I'm interested in doing a leadership course, or I'm interested in doing a coaching qualification, or I'm interested in doing that sort of workshop on facilitation. And so it's almost like a building block approach that they've taken, and then they sort of reflect on, okay, I've got lots of things here. I'm actually happy with what I'm doing. So at the moment, I'm okay with that. But they keep on then collecting different sort of insights, qualifications, online development, webinars, in-house job shadowing, if it's a thing that happens, or just in-house training, like what we do, a wide variety of training, and it's just like a building block approach.
It's a really useful perspective, I think, in terms of those small steps that you kind of alluded to earlier as well, Helen, because I guess when people sometimes think about this idea of planning personal growth and development, it's often maybe a structured formal qualification, or is there a pathway in front of me, must do this, must take 2 years. But actually, as Christian's kind of been noting there, it could be lots of maybe smaller, more bite-sized chunks. What does that kind of potentially look like, I guess, for someone who maybe isn't that sure about where they want to go, or, just wants to kind of dip their toe into things?
Well, I think that's creating an opportunity for yourself, isn't it? And thinking, okay, so what could I do? What could I have a go at? For some people, like Christian said, they will have that long-term goal, and you can see people sort of moving through different phases. But for other people that may be a little bit nervous or cautious or just not sure about where they want to go, which is probably us initially when we were starting out, then I would say to those people, just give something small a go. They're tiny steps, and it doesn't matter. And it might be something, we see people all the time that might have said, oh, well, I've done this online course that was for 30 minutes on well-being, but I'm actually really keen to explore it. So they look to see what we might offer in-house and see if there's something there, or they might go external and say, oh, well, there's something even bigger. But it's about giving it a go, I think, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't quite fit, it's not right, that's all right. There'll be something else that's perfect for you. So that being confident, I suppose, to experiment a little bit, and I'd say create yourself a bit of a safe space, because nobody else is going to know for the most part. Your managers might know eventually, but just giving yourself that creative space to think, okay, what shall I have a go at, and what interests me, and okay, what lights a spark in me. I think that's
So that sort of low stakes entry point, isn't it? Yeah, that anybody could potentially could get involved in.
And hopefully, we're people that feel that they're included in something that might take them down a certain path, or they'll say, no, that is definitely not for me, and this is something else that I want to pursue.
So would you say there's much value in finding out the stuff that doesn't light you up as there is in the stuff that does?
Yeah. And I think we've probably both done that before, and we looked at and thought, no, that isn't for me. And it's all right to think that there'll be something else, because we spend a lot of time at work, don't we? We want to be happy, and we want to have positive relationships and be energized, I suppose, by what we do, and want to follow a vision that organisation's got, that we feel that we can respond to and feel captivated by, I suppose. Yeah.
I think some of the time it's unintentional, because I know some of the courses that we've delivered is part of those quality conversations that people have had, that you get a group of people from similar areas within a university, but very different backgrounds or very different work roles, and just sharing that knowledge and experience people have can then inspire them to think, oh, actually, I've never thought of that before, and taking that back into their own role, and then thinking, oh, actually, that's made a difference in my role. I'd like to explore that more, and maybe look at a formal qualification, or as I've mentioned, having a mentor. And what we see a lot of is, one of the popular things for mentoring is moving from, say, operational to strategic leadership. And it's just great to tap into your network of, who might I know somebody who can offer me something that I'm currently sort of missing.
Yeah, and like so many of our attributes, they don't exist in isolation. So it's about, as you said, that wider community, that wider network of people. Some great insights already. I feel like we might have already covered quite a lot of top tips, but I'm still going to see if we can eke any more nuggets of wisdom out of you. So we've talked there quite a lot about staff. But of course, we're also here to talk about students as well. So let's kind of move on to talk about the attribute of planning personal growth and development, and think about maybe how students can develop that attribute for themselves, or enhance what they might already have in this area. So with that kind of in mind, what sort of top tips have you got for anyone that's maybe looking to enhance planning their own personal growth and development?
I think that the first thing people can think about doing is identifying their key values. So what 3 key values do they have? And using that as a springboard into an area of work. So being intentional about identifying those values, which can seem really overwhelming, I think, if you've not perhaps thought about it before. But honestly, identifying your values early on really helps you to make decisions later on in life that are so simple. It's either this or this, whereas before you might be confused about something. But I think having those core values can really help you make those decisions much simpler. And I think the other thing, if you're thinking, well, I don't know where to start with that, well, what drives you? Think about what drives you, what motivates you. When you look at the news, what do you feel mad about? What do you want to stand up and say, that's not just, that's not right about? Or alternatively, that's great, I really love that, I've seen that in that person. Is that a good fit for me? So it's starting simply like that, and then identifying those values. That for me would be the first thing, because that's the core of you, isn't it? The core of you as an individual. We've all got different values, and that's all right.
And of course, they change throughout life, don't they? Yeah, I think it's such an important point, because sometimes, as you said, that idea of values can feel like quite a big, chunky, lofty question. But of course, as you said, it could be as simple as, well, like, what's the thing that when you do it, you feel like you completely lose track of time? Simple things that actually will kind of help you work out what's important to you, but it doesn't have to be something that is maybe too big, too daunting, too intimidating?
I think that's it. I think the more we talk about values, the better it is, really, because I think it really links to leadership and leading yourself. Because that can seem, we talked earlier about leadership and leadership being scary and frightening, and it's a really difficult thing. Actually, it's not really. And we can all be leaders. We are all leaders, at home, in our lives at work, volunteering, the sports teams that we belong to. And so I don't think it's as hard as we often make it out to be. So the more we talk about values, the more we talk about leadership, the more we talk about opportunities to reflect and think, oh yeah, this is me, this is the true me, I think the better. And we know, don't we, from our work with people that have done that, then it's a really good starting point for happiness, well-being, and being just really fulfilled in your role as well.
All connected, as you
Yeah,
said.
and that's where that intentionality starts, I think, yeah.
And Christian, last but not least, anything you'd want to add there in terms of kind of top tips for planning personal growth and development?
Yeah, I would say, just build upon what you said, be mindful of what it is you're going back to what you're passionate about, or be mindful of maybe people on your course, if you've done a placement, people on the news, and anything that you think, oh, I could see myself doing that, or I like that little bit of what I've experienced there, or what I've seen, and then think, okay, well, I wonder how they got there. Ask careers, why not? But also just find out. I always think sometimes you miss opportunities by not grabbing them or not asking. And actually, I think I wish I'd asked things a little earlier, because all they can say is no.
Well, it's that curiosity, isn't it? So it's that idea, as you were saying earlier, about kind of taking opportunities, but also if we're talking about lifelong personal growth and development, it's curiosity. It's wanting to learn.
It is, yeah. And then I think once you've asked, sort of been mindful of things that you are interested in, then that's when you can start planning, thinking, okay, I really like that person I've seen on, I don't know, Dragon's Den. How did they get there? What was their career path? And doing some research, finding out what their career path is, or just reaching out to people through your own network and think, I know somebody who does that role. Maybe they could connect me just to see if I could just have a chat with them, and because they'd be able to give you a lot of insight, and then that'll help you plan.
And as you say, it's all that kind of connection, isn't it? It's all thinking about the people that can potentially help you, and as you said, drawing those connections between the things you see, the things you learn about, and how you can apply it in your own life. Yeah.
I once did some training for some students on who's in your network, and people just thought it's such a very small. I only have a very small network, but then actually, once you start exploring that, you may go from like, well, really, I've only got 5 people who could be influential in my career, and through that works, and it went up to sort of 25, because you just need to sometimes maybe think outside the box, and just reach out. I know LinkedIn is great for just thinking, I quite like what they do. Send them a request.
And as you both said, it's all got to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
All got to start somewhere. Fantastic. Really, really great insights. Really appreciate you both joining us in the studio today, and also for that shameless plug for the careers service as well. So,
Well, you're very welcome, and thanks for inviting us. It was really good to talk about sort of this really important element of your sort of goals moving forward with your career.
Christian, Helen, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
You.
Remember, as always, if you want to access any of the resources and support available from the Careers and Employability Service at the university, you can find all this information on www.hud.ac.uk/careers.